back with the hosts of Pod Save America and the authors of Democracy or Else, Jon Favreau, Jon Lovett, and Tommy Vietor. The 2024 campaign is underway. We got the first debate coming up a week from this Thursday. You've helped people prep for political debates. How would you be prepping Biden right now? What would you be telling him? What's the game plan for him?
Yeah, well, I helped prep President Obama for the first debate that he famously did well with Mitt Romney, against Mitt Romney in 2012.
Everyone was
you've come to the right place.
Everyone was terrified.
Yeah, no, and he blew it.
Because a guy who is always on his game shanked it historically.
And here's why. He was told before the debate that incumbent presidents tend to do poorly in the first debate because they get defensive about their record, they get annoyed that they're being challenged, and they just don't want to be there, and they also get into the weeds of policy. So I would tell Biden that he should not be defensive about his record, that when Trump attacks, he should talk about what he's achieved. He should acknowledge how hard it is for people still and how much progress he has to make, and then immediately pivot to comparing his vision to Trump's vision. And I think he needs to be punchy when he goes after Trump, and he needs to show passion for people. And if there's one thing he wants to convey in that debate, it is that Joe Biden is a person that cares about the people watching, and Donald Trump is someone who cares only about himself.
Okay. There's a jump ball between you guys. Jump ball, are people even paying attention to the election yet? Why June? Why is this happening so early? They don't even actually officially have the nominations yet, do they?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Biden campaign and the Trump campaign came together and they said, we hate the debate commission and the process and the current setup for these debates because some of the debates were going to happen after early voting had already started, which just doesn't make any sense. If these debates are supposed to help inform voters before they go into the voting booths, it's crazy to do it after you have states doing early voting beforehand. So they came together to move it up and create this new process. And I think the Biden campaign knows that voters that are paying attention, that are consuming political news, think he's doing better than voters that are not really paying attention, that are just getting information from TikTok or social media. And so they're hoping that an early debate can create a moment that is seen by most of the country that shows that he is up for the job, that age is not a concern, and it's sort of like the State of the Union was. It sort of energizes their campaign.
But there's no audience this time, right?
Right.
So no audience, and the mics get turned off when it's not your turn.
Right.
Right?
Right.
How do you think that's going to I love those rules. Because we remember the first debate in 2020 was just a shout fest.
Yes.
Where he was basically just trying to drown him out by being a complete tool during the debate. Can you still do zingers when there's no audience? Do jokes still work? Because usually there's a takeaway of oh, he got a good one in and the audience responded. Without any audience, is it worth doing jokes?
I think it's tougher. I think they can't just be kind of punchlines because there's not going to be anyone.
Right.
Laugh.
You've written jokes for politicians before. Do you have any advice for Joe?
Oh, sure. Okay. I may have a couple. I have some zingers.
Okay.
I have some potential zingers.
All right. Well, zing bots.
Don't clap yet.
Let's get those expectations a little bit lower. Ready?
Sure.
We passed the largest climate bill in history. You remember climate change, like how you changed the climate in that courtroom when you stunk it up with your farts.
What else do you have?
Thanks for asking, Stephen. We'll secure the border and keep families together, though no promises for you and your wife, Melania, with whom you seem to have a kind of hollow, loveless arrangement. She wasn't even with you in that courtroom when you stunk it up with your farts.
Okay. I'm sensing a pattern.
So here's where I think we clinch.
Let's clinch it. Let's bring it home.
The future, basically.
Bring it home.
I'm bringing down costs. You're promising to cut taxes for your rich friends. But Donald, if you have to cut their taxes so they'll want to hang out with you, are they really your friends? Did they even call you after the whole fart thing?
Are you just gonna... Now, will you email those? Will you email those to the White House, or are you just hoping that he watched just now?
Those are the zingers for you.
Oh.
The zingers that could literally save America, I'm sending those right to Joe.
Please, well, let's talk about saving America.
They're not reassured
No, they're
based
not.
on what they've heard so far.
How many weeks in Fiji to think of this?
Okay, so There you go. Here's the book again. It's Democracy or Else, How to Save America in 10 Easy Steps. Okay, what's the #1 step people have to do to save America?
I mean, I think the book is for anyone that is...
I didn't ask who it's for. I asked what the #1 step is. Okay. I'm Jake Tapper. You're Donald Trump
Jake.
right now.
Okay, Jake, can I finish?
Okay,
Can I
sure,
finish?
Sure, go ahead, as long as you answer the question.
The first step in the book is just about getting informed. So
Okay.
we'll walk you through the process of like how you can be more involved in politics, from getting informed to voting to donating to organizing to working on campaigns, even running for office yourself. And the idea is, let's get people a informative, helpful guide for political engagement that is fun, that is funny, that reminds you that, you know, politics can be hopeful and inspiring and not the slog that it's been the last 8 years or so.
People feel kind of checked out about this campaign. Why do I have my own theories, but why do you think that like people aren't watching political news that much?
I think people are exhausted from 8 years of like Donald Trump being in our lives and just how and so it's a rematch of like the same thing that we saw in 2020. So people are sort of tuned out there. And what you're seeing in like polling and in focus groups is people just don't, they're angry about politics, they're frustrated, they're more cynical than they've been in a very long time. And I think the campaign will come down to which campaign, whether it's Trump or Biden, can actually get a lot of those people who are right now checked out and sort of disgusted with politics in general to actually vote for them. And because, you know, their job is to make sure that the stakes seem big to people for their own lives, right? Like it's not about like a higher theory or something else. It's like it's about how politics is going to make a difference in your life.
Fundamental rights.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we wrote the book is because like politics can seem scary and exhausting, but it doesn't have to be. And like anyone can get involved, and there's like different levels of involvement depending on how much time you have, and it also can be fun.
We're going to take another break, but stick around. More Pod Save America when we come back.